We're back. It's Walk the Plank, the pre-show to Dead and Buried Treasures. My name's Nicholas Callis. We got Eric Sprouse here, the host, Captain Calico Drake himself. How are we doing tonight?
I be doing good, Nick. It's been one of those kind of months. It's taken a long time to get this current episode done, but we're finally on track. I got to tell you, before I start,
Okay.
I got to plug you a bit.
Is that right?
Yeah, a little bit,
Really?
because I can't tell you how lucky I am to have this guy doing my pre-show, because you just made a lot easier. Rich had to leave, don't know if he'll be back or not, but you have been amazing in the clutch. So thank you very much for helping out.
Oh, I feel honored. Thank you.
Without you, it wouldn't even get done to the quality or the level that it is. So
Nice, man. I appreciate your kind words.
that's
sir.
my
Captain. So we got the movie tonight, The Middle Toe of the Right Foot. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but let's talk a little bit here about the Rondo Awards. Tell us about that a little bit. What are the Rondo Awards, and how did you get involved, nominated?
Well, the Rondo Awards are like the Oscars of horror, and they're worldwide. They honor the very best in motion pictures, television, print media, social media, websites. So it's kind of nice when you're on the same ballot as Halloween Ends and Scream 6 and Megan and Cocaine Bear and all those movies that are out that everybody's been seeing for the last year. But there is a category for Best Horror Host. And I wish they wouldn't call it Best Horror Host, because it makes it seem like I do everything. And I'm actually a lot more humble than I act, because you got a cast and crew, Mirabella does all the mermaid stuff. Jasper does all the old man stuff. We have the voice who plays the siren on the show, and the bottle, and all these other characters that without them, we wouldn't have a show. Without you, we wouldn't have a pre-show. So I wish they would call it the Best Horror Host Show Award. You know what I mean? But It is what it is. So these were the Rondos. It was our first time being in them, and it is really a contest of all horror in the last year. And we finished as an honorable mention. And I thought that was amazing, because you're up against national hosts, you're up against regional hosts, and the three big boys, the big girl shows won, because they're nationally syndicated. You have Sven Gulli, who's on MeTV, and he's a legend in the industry. He's out of Chicago. And for those of you who don't know who that is, he's the guy on MeTV that wears the big top hat with the rubber chickens and stuff like that. I'm like, it's hard to beat him. He's been doing it for like 30 years. You do with what works, Yeah. And then Elvira. Everybody knows Elvira. Elvira is the famous female vampire, and she's done that kind of thing since the, sorry, Cassandra, I want to say 80s, maybe even the 70s, but I'm not sure of that. She's been around for a while. I know she's older. So she came in second. And then third, you have Joe Bob Briggs, who used to do Mystery Science Theater. I'm not sure the horror host show he does now, but you had the three nationals, and then it came to us, which I thought was pretty amazing, because it came to the honorable mentions. There's like a half dozen honorable mentions, and Dead and Buried Treasures was one of them. So we kind of came in fourth right after the three national awards. And the Rondo Awards were named after a gentleman by the name of Rondo Hatton, who was an obscure film villain in the 1940s. In fact, if you ever saw the movie The Rocketeer, I think they kind of did like a salute to him, because Timothy Dalton, who played James Bond, was the bad guy in The Rocketeer. But his big henchman, the one who cleaned up all the messes, was patterned after Rondo. And he has the big nose, and he looks just like the bad guy, the villain. So we won an honorable mention, and I'm pretty happy to have been part of it.
Do you know how many competed all together or were nominated all together?
Yeah, I know the ballot was at least. Here's the difficult thing about that: the ballot had 24 nominees, but then they had a last thing that says "or write in your own." So it's hard to tell how many people competed technically. But the thing I can't knock it, but I wish the rondos were patterned after quality, where it had like a panel decide on what your show looks like. It's a popularity contest. So there's no way in the world. I'd be shocked if we ever came in first and beat Elvira, who's been doing it for 35 years, Joe Bob Briggs, who's been doing it for 20, who's Sven Gulli, who's been doing it since the 80s, something like that. So, I mean, I'd be shocked if we won a popularity contest like that. So I'll take an honorable mention. That was pretty cool.
Sure. Do you know who nominated you?
I have no idea.
No.
No,
So
and
I
that's
guess it's a mystery.
yeah, it's the beauty of it all. So you never really know who nominates who or where the nominations come from. And I've always asked little things like that. I remember a couple years ago, even Dave Cable here at our flagship station, the BPTV, we won Best Show in Pittsburgh. And I said, who nominated? How did we get the nomination? He's like, well, I don't know. I'm like, I think he's just playing coy.
Well, congratulations anyhow.
Hey, I'll take
Nice
the
honorable
award.
mention,
Yeah.
4th overall. Well done. All right, let's get to the movie. Tell me a little bit about the middle toe of the right foot. That has me curious just from the title.
It's a clue of a 7-year-old murder mystery. And it's a story about 2 men who hastily decide to settle an argument inside a haunted house where a murder was committed about 7 years earlier. And it's a lot of fun because it was written by Ambrose Bierce in the 1800s. And his most famous work, I believe, was called An Occurrence at Owl Creek Ridge. And it's a story that was written for in the Civil War era, but we updated it for present day by Dr. Sylvia Foyle, who at the time was my advisor when I went to California University. Oh. And so it's something, actually I directed it. I mean,
Did you?
Yeah, I know that's probably you're wondering, well, tell me a little bit more. I'm just going to let the cat out of the bag. I directed it. It was part of my master's thesis way back in 19, and back when there was no digital photography. There was none of that stuff. We did it the old way, and we liked it.
Tapes and reels.
Tapes and reels and cameras this big. And now you have cameras like this, so, and you can see, we shot it on VHS, damn it, and we liked it. So, it's like, now you have all these, I'm a college professor by trade, so I have TV students now who complain about having to carry the camera that's this big, and I'm like, no, that's about as big as the wheels that the bottom of the tripod that I had to put mine on.
I was born right at the end of the digital, or not the digital reels, but the physical reels age. So my dad still had some VHS tapes that would come out of the camcorder. Yeah. So I can appreciate the difficulties of that era.
I wish, I don't think there's any here at the TV station, but I wish we could bring one out here and show you. The camera was this long, from the nose to the back, this big, and we'd have them on tripods and we'd carry them. And this movie was shot all on location. Ooh. So we have 3 different houses that were supposed to be put together as the one house, like the one haunted house. Yeah. The exterior you see in the movie is in Washington, Pennsylvania. The interior was in California, Pennsylvania, and the bedroom murder scene was in Cole Center, Pennsylvania. So we went all over the place just for the house. Mm-hmm. There's a police station that we use. There's actually public safety on the campus of California University. So a lot of things double in the way we do it, and it was always.
I want to ask why choose different places for just one depiction?
Well, because as the director, you're never happy. So. The house that I chose for the exterior was a beautiful Victorian house. It's actually a national landmark in Washington, Pennsylvania. Oh, wow. It was built in the 1800s. It's really, actually, I grew up looking at it because it was across the street from where I lived. And I thought, this really Victorian. It looks kind of creepy and it's everything. But it didn't have the I didn't want to put the owners out. They were letting me use the outside because I was a poor college student, you know, and well, shucks, let's let him do whatever he can. So I said, okay. So that's how we got the fire department involved and the police department involved. Oh, it was a different time. Yeah, we actually had they all gave us all this help to this poor college student, but it didn't have the interior that I wanted. And I needed an interior we could kind of camp out and shoot till 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning.
Sure.
So it was a much different world back then, but it's a lot of fun. And we had a lot of fun doing it.
And I hear it won some awards. Is that true?
It did. And again, this is way back in the day when, I mean, I'm shooting it on VHS for crying out loud. But it still holds up well, I think, today. I mean, you have to kind of, it's like an old 1940s black and white movie. You know, it's just, for its era, it wasn't so bad. But it won the Cineview Film and Video Festival in Washington, D.C., Best Picture, Best Director, for the Cineview Film and Video competition in Miami, Florida. It won Best Director, Best Production. So it has a lot of value to it.
So you pretty much won Best Director then, since you directed it.
I did. It was the
There
first.
we go. Hey.
It was the first award I ever won.
Toot your own horn there, sir.
It was the first award I ever won, so it was a lot of fun doing it. And I wish I could have got somebody on the show that worked on it, but they've all moved on. And they're like, oh, don't bring up that movie. Like, so we just had a lot of fun with it. We didn't know any better back in the day, but it turned out a lot better than we expected it to be. So.
And we are actually going to take a look at it now. We're going to bring it back. Here is a look at the movie. Make sure I get it right. The Middle Toe of the Right Foot.
We promise it's not an anatomy film.
The reviews are in, and the critics agree. The Middle Toe of the Right Foot is an excellent suspense yarn.
How could you do that, man? How could you? You locked me in the house with that maniac!
Not just any student movie, but a cinema fantastic.
There are those that think she still haunts the place. There's been disappearances.
Maybe destined for cult classic status.
The house is worth a fortune alone. That is, if you can find someone who would want to buy a haunted house.
The movie gave that extra effort that makes some student productions rise to the top, like this one.
There's no way out. All the doors and windows have been boarded shut. You're mine.
Then I saw her. She was missing the middle toe of her right foot.
Outshines all other college films.
I'd sure like to have solved that case.
What is the secret behind the house on the hill?
Haunted house? What's all this crap about a haunted house?
It was a crime a small town never forgot.
The Middle Toe of the Right Foot. And that music. I understand that music comes from somewhere. You pulled it from somewhere. You want to tell us where?
Yeah. I'm an old bugger. I've worked on a couple dozen movies here in the Pittsburgh area, which is our home flagship station, really, of the whole show. And one of the movies I worked on, I was very proud to have worked on, you know, Groundhog Day and Striking Distance and Sudden Death and Hoffa and all these fun movies. Wow. The one I would think I was the most proud of was Silence of the Lambs. And it was a much different time back then. Like, there was no YouTube, there was no Facebook, there was no internet, really, to download music from or take music from. And so working on that movie, I asked people around, can I use Howard Shore's score? There was no way to get like a YouTube score, like a public domain score, and say, yeah, you can use this music, or just download it and use it. There was none of that. So in order to make it creepy, I thought, well, I just worked on Silence of the Lambs. I said, can I use Howard's music? And I went through different channels, and eventually I got a yes, and I said, okay. So I put Silence of the Lamb, Howard Shore's music, in Middle Toe of the Right Foot. You'll recognize quite a bit of it in that score. So yeah,
Interesting.
Yeah, you'll recognize. Now nowadays, that would never happen. No.
Strike!
Strike! You're done. Cancel your channel. I'm like, oh, but we didn't have any of that back in the day. So we didn't know better. We just used it. So we got permission. Let me make sure I'm down on the up and up. We got permission, but it was so old. When I actually put it on YouTube, I never got a strike, never got anything because it was too old. So,
Fair enough. Very good.
I lived with it. So,
All right. Well, middle toe of the right foot, not the only thing that we're looking at that's scary tonight. We got Scream 6 on the menu. Talk a little bit about Scream 6.
well, tonight on the show, we are giving away 5 home video copies of Scream 6 if you got our trivia question right. So, if you're good at horror trivia, you tune in tonight, you watch the show, you get it right, you contact us. If you're one of the first 5 that gets the answer right, you win Scream 6, courtesy of Voodoo Video.
Hey!
The home copy of the movie. So, and we get all the stars from Scream 6 are on the show tonight. We have Jenna Ortega, we have Courtney Cox, we have Melissa Barrett. We have a lot of different stars from Scream 6 in interviews, and we kind of incorporate them into the show as Captain Drake is. See, what happens on the show is this book.
I see it.
The Woodsboro Murders.
Yes.
Now, if you're a fan of the Scream movies, you know what that is. This is the book that Gale Weathers wrote about the murders that took place in Woodsboro in the first Scream film. In fact, you can see it closely. It's autographed by Sidney Prescott, Gale Weathers, and Cotton Weary. So what happens is a character, we'll say, sneaks aboard the swashbuckler's haunt, steals the book, and because if you know the show at all the props from the movies are on the ship and on the island of dead and buried treasures. So this being an enchanted book, it brings Ghostface to life. And he decides to go on a spree of such at the Horror Realm convention that was shot here in Bethel Park. And I, of course, as Calico Drake, have to stop him because he's up to no good. So I get to go toe-to-toe and try to bring an end to Ghostface's reign. So
Spooky.
it is. It's a lot of fun
Scary.
too.
Sounds fun.
So we got to go to the Horror Realm. We got to show that. We got to see what goes on at the horror convention here in the Pittsburgh area, and I get to venture to it. It was real close, right here across the street, really, from BPTV. So we had a lot of fun doing the convention and the Scream themed show. And of course, we give away prizes tonight if you're good enough to figure out what the trivia question answer is. So, best of luck on all realms.
All right. And since we mentioned it, let's take a look at the trailer for Scream 6 right now.
Strange that you and I have never spoken on the phone. This is long overdue.
What is this place?
A shrine.
Did you miss me?
He's gonna keep coming after us.
Maybe he gets to win this time.
We've got to lure him in. And we execute him.
Scream.
I hear you're a horror fan.
It's been said.
Everywhere Friday.
Well, we also got some fan mail, too. You ready to open up some fan mail?
Oh, I do. If you can wait. I'll tell you what. Why don't we talk to Jenna Ortega first, and I'll go grab some fan mail.
Sounds good to me. Here's Jenna Ortega's interview from where? Scream 6.
Yeah, she talks about Scream 6. She talks about how people of color can now be heroes. And I thought that was a pretty good opinion to have, and especially in this climate today. So take a look at what Jenna Ortega had to say.
Here it is.
You know, the incredible thing about what they're doing with this story is, it's kind of insane. They've people of color as the leads, people of color who are surviving, an openly queer woman of color surviving and becoming this staple in the franchise. So important, not only for people watching, but then also just for accuracy of the time and making the film a bit more relatable. And Jasmine is one of the funniest people I know. The love I have for that woman is unbelievable. And she knows it, and I know it, but that's definitely one of the stronger relationships that I've built in my lifetime.
Now, Eric, I understand you were a huge Hayden Panettiere fan. You want to talk a little bit about her?
I do. Hayden Panettiere, I had a crush on because she's been around in the industry for a while. She started on Heroes, a TV show called Heroes, back in, I want to say, 2006, 5, 6, 7, 8, something like that, where the big thing was save the cheerleader, save the world. And it was almost like the X-Men and like the early days of the X-Men, but it was a whole list of new heroes, and she got her start on there. Well, she was killed off in Scream 4. And or so we were led to believe.
Because I hear she's back, right?
Yeah, she is. She's back. And so I thought, well, she's done. So I like how Scream is challenging new heights with different obstacles and things like that. So I'm like, okay, let's see how she came back. But Jenna Ortega had a lot of complimentary things to say about her.
And we have those comments for you right now.
I was a huge Kirby fan as well. I watch it, and I was one of those people. I didn't even know that it was a thing online or within the community that, oh, Kirby's still alive. I watch it, and I refuse to believe that she died.
So that was Jenna Ortega and some of her comments, but I understand you have the entire cast of the show on tonight?
All that matters is Hayden Panettiere's on the show.
Remember, he's a huge fan.
Huge
fan.
That's true. But I mean, yeah, we do have the whole cast of Scream is incorporated into the show tonight to give you some behind-the-scenes look at the whole franchise, really. And it's going to be a lot of fun, especially where you can win the movie now on Vudu home release.
So stay tuned for that. And
Yeah.
stay tuned because we have fan mail. Fan mail time right now.
Yeah, I got a letter from, I just want to bring this up quickly, from a Christopher Dabrowski in Gardner, New York. And he sent me some kind of neat little sketches that I thought I'd share with you and thought maybe you might appreciate. I thought he did pretty good there with, this is the, he writes, you have to it's almost like those pictures in the 90s where you have to see through it.
It's
I
creative.
think he wrote Jack and Captain Calico Drake, and this one says Dead and Buried Treasures. So I thought I'd show that on the show. He did a pretty good job at that. But I always like fan mail. And speaking of fan mail, I think we have some, right?
We do. All right, let's take a look here. This one comes from Stephanie Wagner in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
Stephanie writes, "You are a fine-looking pirate, Captain Drake. Sexy, funny, and fun. Does it take long for you to get your makeup on?"
It does, because I do it all myself. In fact, I've had a lot of complaints about saying, you need like a scar, or you need a tooth missing. I'm like, I don't want to be the ugly pirate, you know? It's like, so I do enough to get by with the Jack Sparrow black stuff around the eyes, and then you got to put I have to put a whole outfit on by myself. And I know that sounds silly, but it's like literally takes me about 20 minutes to do properly. Because you have to do it in a certain way, because if you put the earring on first and then the hair gets caught on the earring and pulls the earring off in the first place. So you have to put the hair on first, then you have to put the earring on after, and then you say, I should have put the patch on first, and you got to take it all back off, put the patch on, then the ear. So there's a certain way you have to do it, or it all gets caught up with everything else. The guns will knock the microphone. You got to do the microphone stuff last. So yeah, I do all my own makeup, and it's a lot more complicated than you think.
All right.
Yeah, it really is.
This next one comes from Tony Underhill from right here in Bethel Park. He writes, "Hello, Captain. I hope you remember me. I bumped into you at the Horror Realm convention in March. I was in cosplay myself and took my Terrifier clown mask off to talk to you near the front."
I do remember him.
Yeah, I was wondering if you were planning on attending any other conventions this year.
Well, here's the problem. I know we've had a lot of requests to attend a lot of different conventions, and I'd love to attend these conventions, but I have nothing to sell at a table. Right now, we're looking for an artist to do some T-shirts for us, so we can at least sell T-shirts at the table. And I know people will say, well, you can always autograph something at the table. Yeah, I get that, but you want to do some other stuff at the table other than just an autograph, you know? So I'm trying to get some T-shirts made. We're trying to get a calendar made that would have you and me and people pictured on the calendar, you know, from the show, and some other stuff. There's a comic book we wanted to do, like a one-shot comic book that we talked to Gabriel Mastracci to do, who's actually Fiore's our producer of the show, his son would do the comic, and I'm writing it to show like a backstory of how we came to host monster movies on the show. So there's a lot of different things. So if we do, it would probably be the Monster Bash near Halloween. And I think that's in Ligonier, Pennsylvania. There's another one in Ohio that they're asking us to go to now. There's a lot that we haven't. So it looks like 2024 will be our year, really, to start visiting most conventions. But we still have plans to attend the Halloween parade in Bethel Park.
All right.
I'm not kidding. Last year, my producer, Dave Cable, here at the station, doesn't believe that my car broke down the day of the parade. But I can't make this up. It's true. It really did. So I really want to be there, especially this year. So we'll see what happens.
Let's hope for good fortunes in that case.
Yeah, really.
All right, we got one more. This one comes from Carolyn Filipponi in Dunhart, Ohio, and she asks...
Filipponi.
Oh, familiar name.
Yeah, it's familiar to
Andrew
you.
Filipponi spells his name a little differently. This one is with one L unless this one's misspelled.
He works at 93.7 The Fan.
I do.
So that's probably how... Filipponi, you have to ask him if he knows who that is.
I will. If I can remember. Carolyn, though, she asks, Dear Captain Drake, are there any interesting storylines coming up involving Jasper, Gertie, or Mirabella?
Yes, actually there is.
Hey.
And I'll give you a small preview. Jasper gets turned into a puppet. Mirabella saves the ship from a time bomb.
Ooh.
And there's one with Gertie. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I know she has to do. She'll probably drink wine in it. Some point. So, and I'd like to get something with you.
Ooh.
I'd like to get you on the show too.
Oh, boy.
To do something would be kind of fun. So we'll see how it all goes. But the one that's turned into Christopher Presley, who plays Jasper, had a company make a puppet of Jasper.
That's awesome.
Well, like not a puppet, but do you remember South Park?
Yes.
Do you remember Terrence and Phillip?
Yeah.
Where they were like circles and they just talk like this, and they were like stick figures with like whole round heads that would open up like this. That's what the puppet looks like. He looks more like a Muppet. But he's in the red and black shirt, you know, with the handlebar mustache and the painter's cap. It's going to be fun. So we have a lot of cool episodes coming up, and we still have to finish the battle, and that's kind of a cliffhanger that we will resolve soon enough, because everybody was I get a fan mail all the time like, why did you not resolve? You guys were coming up on the enemy ship, you're about to do battle, all of a sudden it wasn't there anymore. What happened? There's a reason that happened, and we will disclose it all soon enough.
Well, we look forward to that.
Involving a new character.
For sure. Now, some of these questions came from social media. You want to just plug your social media real quick?
Oh, yeah. If you're ever looking to drop us a line, you can always drop us an email at deadandburiedtreasures@yahoo.com. And you'll need that tonight to do the trivia, you can always contact us on Messenger through Facebook. We have a Facebook page for that. We're also on Instagram, Twitter. We just started Twitter. So I know we're so far behind.
It's what's happening.
I know, but it's what's happening. It's what's hot. So we just started a Twitter account. So look us up on Twitter. We are Dead and Buried Treasures. So look us up.
All right.
It'll be a lot of fun.
That's it for Walk the Plank. We got some Scream 6 features. Don't forget you can win if you answer the question right tonight. Mm-hmm. And the middle toe of the right foot. Middle toe of the right foot. That's the feature tonight. Stay tuned. That's coming up next, wherever you get Dead and Buried Treasures.
It's a creepy ghost story.
Dead man's chest, yo-ho-ho, and a bottle of rum. Drinking the devil be done for the rest, yo-ho-ho, and a bottle of rum. The mate was fixed by the possum's spike, possum's brain with a marlin spike, and a cookie stroll was